Hey guys, I'm back. I've actually filmed a few videos today, so that's why my hair literally looks the same. But I'm doing a much overdue video, and that is my February wrap-up. I have had allergies for the longest time, so this is finally when I don't sound so much like death, even though I still feel like death. As you all know, we're in quarantine. My school got canceled for 3 weeks. So I'm trying to film as much as I can and upload because I'm sure you guys are just as bored. And yeah. So in February, I read the most amount of books I've ever read in a single month ever. And that's kind of like crazy because February has the least amount of days. I read 7 books this month and I had such a good time. I read exactly, wait for it, 2,300 pages. Thank you, thank you. And I had a lot of really good reads. Here we are. As for stats, I read 3 male authors and 4 female authors. I had 1 5-star book, 1 4.5, 3 4 stars, and 2 3.5 stars, which is like kind of really good. The month did start off kind of, iffy, but it ended off so good. So let's just jump into the books. The first book I read in the month of February was Frankly in Love. No, it's not. Let's back up. The first book in February I read was Bloom. And this is a graphic novel about this boy, and he really wants to leave home. He's just not feeling it anymore. And but he has to help his parents out with the bakery, so he has this bright idea that if he, helps his parents hire someone else, then to replace him, then he could leave. But he ends up getting really, really close with the boy that they hire, and it turned into this really cute romance, and it was really cute. It was a really good story. I really, really enjoyed it, but I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was really good. The graphics were really good, and I really loved how the whole book had like a blue tone to it. But honestly, this book was mediocre. On my notes, I said, a beautiful book about friendship and something a little more. Love the graphics, but it's nothing special. I don't know. I would still recommend you guys to read it, but it's nothing special. Now, the next book I read was Frankly in Love by David Yoon. This book is gorgeous, and I did tab it up a little bit. I got this book for Christmas from my mommy, and I also had her sign it for me, so now it's like extra personalized and extra super cute. This book is about a boy named Frank, and he is a Korean American, and so his parents want him to like marry and be with a Korean girl, but he is like, why? He starts dating this white girl, but to make his parents happy, he starts fake dating this Korean girl, which turns into real dating, and it was super cute. And most of the scenes in here are just meh. There's a few really, really good scenes, but like not enough to like pull it through. I gave this one 3.5 stars, and I felt super bad because I was super, super excited about this book, but it was okay. In my notes, I said, a book about identity, coming of age, and friends. Mediocre book. Really enjoyed some scenes, but took me a long time to read, which is really true. I would suggest picking it up if you're interested, but Now the next book I read was Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This book the graphics were kind of like iffy at first because they're super weird, but I ended up really loving it, and I really want to read this whole series so I could finally watch the TV show. These books are like really heavy, but I got this book a really long time ago actually, and I finally decided to pick it up because of the TV show, and I really enjoyed the first one. I gave this one 4 stars. I thought it set up for an amazing story. The second book is another thing for another day, which I will discuss in my March wrap-up. But yes, I absolutely love this book. The storyline, like I said, was amazing, and I can't wait to see where the rest of the books will take us, because if you didn't know, there is 6 books in this series, and I'm currently reading the 3rd one. Yeah, and my library is shut down until April 15th, so I won't be able to get to the 4th one for a while, and yeah. But nonetheless, I really, really, really enjoyed this book, and I suggest you pick it up. Wait a minute, I didn't even say what this book was about. This book is about these kids whose father just died. I don't think that's a spoiler. And so they have to move across the country, I think, to their dad's house. What is their dad's house called? Lovecraft. And so they discover all these keys in Lovecraft and that really do strange things. So yeah. Now the next book I read was a book I probably shouldn't be reading, but I read it anyway, and that is Priest by Sierra Simone. This book, look at the cover. You know, I bought this book on ebook and I read it and I loved it. I grew up in a very religious family, so I feel super bad saying that I love this book. But this book was so steamy and super good, but it also had a plot line, okay? It also had a story. This book is about this priest, and he took his vows of celibacy and all that stuff, and one day during confessions, this girl walks in, and she is ready to confess, and he is ready to, like, drop everything for her. But it's literally, okay, so I say it like that, but it really, how do I put this? He had a really hard time doing what he did, and it took a lot in him to do what he did, and I really liked that about him, that he was torn, but ultimately I loved how the book went. Let's see what I wrote in my notes. I put, this book is steamy with a capital S. I love Tyler's character, which is the priest. However, I feel bad giving it 5 stars because it's about a priest book. But if my moral conscience wasn't there, I would have definitely given this book 5 stars. But oh my goodness, I love this book so much. It was so good. And I read it like fairly quick too. The next book I read was Queen Takes Night, and this book is really, really short. I give this book 4 stars. It's about this girl, and her parents died because of these creatures. So now the creatures are trying to like hunt her down and kill her too. But she's been on the run for years, and finally she's ready to surrender to these creatures because she's tired of running. But these guys in the woods like are like, hey, no, my queen, wait. And then like they save her, and she's like, queen, what are you talking about? And it turns out she's from like this bloodline of vampire queens. So these guys that saved her are her blood, and so they're there to like protect her and whatever. And like they, you know, they bone and feed off of each other, and I am really squeamish with blood, but I had no problem reading this. And yeah, this book was really weird but also really good, and I'm debating if I want to read the second one because it was good and it did leave off on a cliffhanger, but I feel like I have other books I want to read, you know what I mean? So yeah. The next book I read is Crescendo by Becca Fitzpatrick. This is the second book in the Hush Hush series. This book was really freaking good. I gave this book 4 stars. You know, it still follows Patch and Nora from the first book, but now they're together and they have more problems, you know? And this book made me really mad at times, but at the end of the day, I love this book. I love these characters, no matter how much they get on my nerves. But I love this book, guys. I really do. So let's see. In my notes, I said, this book had its slow moments, but I love the storyline and characters. Can't wait to read the 3rd book. And I own the whole series, so I'm hoping to get to the 3rd book really soon, even though I have a lot of books I want to read. I'm hoping these 3 weeks will give me a chance to read all the books I want to read. So yeah, I really love this book, and yes, I'm super excited. Guys, this is the last book I read. It is my favorite book of all time, and oh my goodness, I loved it so much. I think that's even like an understatement. This book is my whole life. And this might be the last time I gush over it, but probably not. And that is Lovely War by Julie Berry. look at the cover. Let's just take a moment to look at the cover. Oh my goodness. So I give this book obviously a 5 out of 5. And oh my goodness, you guys, this book, I'm gonna insert a clip of me crying because of this book. Yes, yes, it was that book. So this book is about, okay, so it's told from the perspective of the Greek gods. So basically, okay, sorry. So basically, Aphrodite, during World War II, I think it's like 1942, Aphrodite got caught cheating on her husband with Ares. So then Hephaestus, her husband, puts her on trial and was like, hey, you know what you did was wrong. And she's all, yes, I know. So then she starts telling this love story about World War I, of these two couples, Hazel and James, and then Colette and Aubrey, and oh my goodness. And the story was just so heartbreaking, and I have to admit, Hazel and James were like, it really, really insta-lovey. They saw each other and they were in love. If you guys didn't see my reading vlog where I read this, definitely I'll try and remember to link it up above, but if not, definitely it'll be linked down below. Check it out. I worked really hard and I'm super proud of that video. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, they were insta-lovey, and at first it was kind of weird and kind of uncomfortable, but then as the story continued, you understand why it was insta-lovey, because James got sent to the front and their story really did have to be insta-lovey, and I didn't mind it by the end of the story. And by the end of the story, I was in tears, and I was loving it, and everything about this book is just perfection. The writing is so good. Oh my gosh, it is so good. This is a YA book, and it is a chunker. It's like 450 pages, but I love this book with my whole heart, and I suggest everyone needs to read this book. Well, after talking about my favorite book of all time, I'm like kind of sad now, but those are all of the books I read this month. And this month, in February, those are all the books I read in February. And I hope you guys had a good reading month, even though I'm posting this super, super late. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.